The flag hit the porch steps like it was garbage. "Whatever this is, it's 70 years too late, and it's not my problem," the delivery supervisor snapped, letting the folded triangle of stars and stripes slip from his hands into the mud. Nora Ellison didn't raise her voice. She knelt, lifted the flag with both hands, and brushed it clean. "You don't know what you just dropped," she said quietly. On the sidewalk, 3 neighbors froze mid-step, phones half raised, no one breathing. Somewhere behind that flag was a name this town had spent 70 years pretending to forget. And in exactly 6 days, that name was going to walk back into this town in dress uniform, flanked by an honor guard that outranked every excuse this man had ever made. You're going to want to remember his face right now, because in 6 days, it will look nothing like this. Rewind 3 weeks, back to the ordinary Tuesday when none of this had started yet. Nora ran the flower shop on Vine Street the way her grandmother had. Buckets of tulips by the door, a bell that stuck a little, a photograph behind the register of a young man in uniform nobody in town ever asked about. She kept an old cedar box on the shelf beside it, empty, waiting, though she'd never said for what. Gary Truitt, who ran the regional mail depot 2 blocks down, had a habit of parking in her loading zone and a louder habit of telling people, this whole street would run cleaner, without her kind slowing it down. He said it the way men say things they've never once been made to answer for. Nora heard it. She watered her tulips and said nothing. The package came on a Thursday, government stamped, addressed in faded ink to an address that hadn't existed under that name in decades. Rerouted, lost, rerouted again, until it landed, finally, in Gary's hands at the counter, with half the block watching. He didn't open it gently. He tore the seal, saw the folded flag inside, and laughed. Actually laughed. "Some dead soldier nobody remembers," he said. And that's when it slipped. That's when it hit the mud. That's when Nora knelt down in front of everyone and picked up what he'd thrown away. She didn't yell, she didn't cry, she carried it inside, laid it in the cedar box that had been waiting all along, and closed the lid like she was closing a door on something Gary didn't know he'd already opened. But what Gary didn't know was whose flag that was. Her mother had told her the story at that same kitchen table 40 years ago. A soldier, a unit, a night in 1969 when he carried 2 wounded men through gunfire and never let go, never got the medal he earned because the paperwork went missing, the way paperwork always went missing for men who looked like him. He came home to no parade, no plaque, no name on any wall. He died believing the country he'd bled for had simply erased him. His flag had been misfiled in a records office for half a century, until a clerk, doing an ordinary Tuesday audit, found it, and finally sent it home. 6 days. That's what Nora had after the flag hit the mud. 6 days until the review board's letter arrived, confirming what her mother had always known, and the government had finally admitted: negligence, discrimination, a case reopened and corrected. 6 days until an honor guard from the state veterans office called to say they were coming personally, in uniform, to deliver something Gary Truitt had thrown in the dirt like it was nothing. Nobody told Gary. Everybody else somehow knew. The morning it happened, half of Vine Street had gathered before anyone even explained why. 4 soldiers in dress uniforms stood at the curb. A folded flag, the real one, replaced, restored, escorted, moved hand to hand down the line with the kind of precision that makes a street go silent. Gary was there too, still in his depot vest, still mid-sentence about a delivery schedule, when the lead officer read the name on the citation out loud. Everyone heard it. Everyone understood, in the same half-second, whose porch that flag had landed on 3 weeks ago, and whose hands had let it fall in the mud. His face went white. Not pale, white. The color draining out of it in front of the same crowd that had watched him laugh 3 weeks earlier. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Nora didn't gloat. She didn't need to. She just held the new flag against her chest and said, "This is what you called nobody's problem." The video someone's neighbor had filmed on that first Thursday resurfaced within hours, stitched next to footage of the honor guard ceremony, and by nightfall, it had crossed 2 million views. The Regional Postal Service suspended Gary within the week pending investigation. The State Veterans Office, facing the footage and the paper trail behind it, opened a formal review of 41 other misrouted service records from the same era. And within a month, 3 more families received flags that had been sitting in a drawer since before their fathers died. The depot itself posted a public apology and a new handling policy for honored deliveries, signed by name. A year later, the cedar box sits behind the register still, but it isn't empty anymore. Beside the old photograph, a small brass plaque now carries a name the whole town knows, and a scholarship in that name sends one Vine Street student to college every fall. Paid for, quietly, out of a flower shop's modest profits and a settlement Nora never asked for but didn't refuse either. She still waters the tulips every morning. She still says nothing when people ask what happened. She just points to the plaque. If you felt something tighten in your chest watching that flag hit the mud, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. And if this is the kind of story you needed today, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes patience outlasts cruelty every single time. Here's what really gets me about this one. It's not the ceremony, and it's not even the apology. It's that a woman held her grief quietly for years, in a box on a shelf, waiting for the world to catch up to what she already knew was true. So tell me honestly, is there something in your own life you're still waiting, patiently, for people to finally understand?